Hello and welcome to Wavescan, the weekly DX program from Adventist World Radio. Researched and written by Adrian Peterson in Indianapolis and produced in the studios of WRMI Shortwave in Miami, Florida. I'm Jeff White. Today on Wavescan, more from the National Association of Shortwave Broadcasters annual meeting, a tribute to shortwave station WYFR, Part 3, the early years in Boston, and our Japan DX report. In the past editions of Wavescan, we have been presenting part of a presentation by Dr. Dal Chow, president of Adventist World Radio, and he's also a newly elected member of the NASB Board of Directors. The NASB is the National Association of Shortwave Broadcasters here in the United States, and its annual meeting took place in May in Birmingham, Alabama, at the headquarters of WEWN Shortwave. Today, we have the next part of Dr. Chow's presentation.
North America does not have such restrictions as other places, so we have other ministries here that will take care of that, so we don't target North America. We do live in North America. If you live in North America, you could hear us as well. Satellite users may be able to hear AWR via 1/4 satellite feeds. Or you could go to our website, scheduleawr.org, and find our schedule in any language in the world. Something is going on as I speak, round the clock. What is the shortwave radio? This is just a rehearsal for many of you. And I use this to educate a little bit our people sometimes in the different forums I go to. As you all know, shortwave bands are located between AM and FM, and we have to have a special receiver for that. Radios with shortwave bands can be obtained economically. I bought a radio, in fact, a few dozen of them, in Kathmandu, Nepal, for $4.75 a piece. 7-band radio. I have one in my office. And I gave it out to the listeners. We had a listeners' reunion in Kathmandu. And I give it to them to go out and monitor. We have a very strong ministry in Nepal. On local radio as well as shortwave and podcast. $4.75 a piece on the streets. Now, shortwave, mind you, that is very affordable for anywhere in the world. So it is very inexpensive. The signal travels thousands of kilometers or miles and go almost around the world. Some people tell me all the way it bounces back, as you know. We can't do that with FM or AM. So shortwave is our mainstay to reach faraway places and difficult areas in the world. We continue to do that. We believe in that. You have probably heard that Voice of America, BBC, Deutsche Welle, even Radio Netherlands recently, have cut back dramatically, if not totally in some cases, on their shortwave broadcast. Have you heard that? And if you look carefully, it's mostly because of a couple of reasons. One is financial exigencies. Some of these countries are having difficulty funding, continue to fund those things. Secondly, the political arena in the world is changing. Some places faster, some places slower. So the political agenda of the Voice of America, let's take the Voice of America for example, it is not the same today as it was during the Cold War. Russia is open, basically. We have programs on FM stations in Russia today as I speak, on the national radio network of Russia with over 1,500 stations across Russia. We're on it every day. That was unheard of 25 years ago. So these big outfits are changing their strategies, and rightly so, because their agendas are changing. And I tell our people, our agenda hasn't changed. It's the same. So people who live in those countries still need to hear what we have to tell them. And many places they can only hear it through shortwave. We also use FM, as you'll see, as you heard. Again, is it obsolete? Well, no, not quite. I read somewhere that there's over 1.5 billion shortwave radio receivers still in the world. I was in the Congo recently, Democratic Republic of the Congo. Congo split years ago, and they have two Congos. They have Congo Brazzaville and Congo Kinshasa, capital cities. I was on the other side, the Congo Kinshasa. Big country, poor country. Millions of people. Our leader in in Lubumbashi, the city way down south, beautiful city of Lubumbashi. I asked him, do your people still listen to radio? Because I hear all the time people is migrating television. They don't want radio anymore. He said, we have at least 97% of our people who listen to radio every day, all day. That's the only means of getting news and information. Many reasons exist. One is people are on the go. They're merchants, they're whatever, farmers. All they have is a little battery-operated radio they put in their pockets or wherever they are on the streets of Kinshasa or in the fields where they're working, they listen to the radio. So the answer is there's a lot of people still listening to radio in the world. Some research shows that our shortwave listeners are growing. Some would say they're not. With shortwave penetration as its highest level in the developing countries, 98% of households in Zimbabwe alone, I got that recently, have shortwave radios. People in North America don't even listen, don't even know what shortwave radio is. You ask many of your people who you know outside of these circles and say, what is that? Never seen one. But that's the main way of receiving information in many parts of the world. Adventist World Radio has over 100 plus stations in South America, affiliated stations, FM and AM. In all the countries of Central America, most of the countries in the Caribbean. Africa is growing extremely fast, Jeff, very fast. While in Lubumbashi, while in the Congo a few weeks ago, they had already installed 2 out of 4 new FM stations for the large cities of the Congo. We already have a few existing ones. In Kisangani, if you know the map of Africa, we have a radio station working very well in at least 3 or 4 local vernaculars besides French and Swahili. We have radio stations in the Kivu, North Kivu region of the Congo, close to Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. Dangerous area because of fightings with the rebels. Been up there, and it's not a safe place, but, got back safely, at least in one piece. We have a radio station in that part of the world, powered by a hydroelectric little thing down in a creek down there, pushing power up to the station. That's how they operate it. Very creative, extremely creative. So we have in Africa growing very fast. Asia a little more slow. Thailand very strong. Indonesia coming up. Other countries in that region, difficult. India, we do have programs on FM. All India Radio has given us permission to air programs for the first time on their network, FM. We started last year. I went out there to inaugurate, they launched the programs from Telugu, from Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh. We started with that language, and that's just between the fall and now. We have added Hindi, English, and the last one is Malayalam. So it's growing on FM. Millions of people now in India can tune in on FM radio and hear our programs in their own language. Europe, we have a few stations. In Germany, in France, I should say, in Romania, Moldova, we have a station we co-own with another group, evangelical group, very fine relationship. Kiev, growing very fast. Even in Russia, we don't have our own station. We have 2 studios in Russia, radio studios, and producing programs in Zaoski and in Tula, outside of Moscow.
You've been listening to Dr. Dal Chow, president of Adventist World Radio, speaking at the 2013 annual meeting of the National Association of Shortwave Broadcasters in Birmingham, Alabama, USA. And we'll have more of Dal Chow's presentation on future editions of Wavescan.
Üdvözlöm Önöket a Family Radio naponta jelentkező műsorában, amely Jézus Krisztus Urunk békeüzenetét közvetíti. Most pedig, hogy gondolatainkba visszaidézzük azt.
And you were listening there to the identification of WYFR, your family radio, in the Hungarian language. As you know, if you're a regular Wavescan listener, WYFR signed off of shortwave from their transmitter site in Okeechobee, Florida, at the end of June 30th of this year. And we're presenting a series of reports by Adrian Peterson about the history of WYFR and its predecessors. Well, the early shortwave station 2XAL was on the air first from the Hotel McAlpin in New York City as a portable unit back in the year 1925. Then 2 years later, a fixed shortwave transmitter rated at 1/2 kilowatt was co-sited with the medium wave unit WRNY close to the waterside on Hudson Terrace at Coatesville in New Jersey. This area these days is taken up by a busy highway running along the edge of the Hudson River. The wireless experimenter and entrepreneur William S. Lemon formed his own shortwave broadcasting corporation with offices in the County Trust Building in New York City. On June 26, 1931, the Federal Radio Commission granted Lemon a construction permit to transfer shortwave station W2XAL to Boston with a power of 15 kilowatts. The station was moved from Coatesville, New Jersey, to its new location in Boston 3 weeks later on July 18th. The new location for the shortwave facility was on the second floor of the two-story building operated by the Shortwave and TV Laboratory at 70 Brookline Avenue in Boston. The FRC sanctioned a combination of the two organizations, Lemon's Shortwave Broadcasting Corporation, with the Shortwave and TV Labs, operated by the young TV experimenter Hollis Baird. Baird was appointed as the chief engineer weekend, it will be celebrating its 66th anniversary. To mark this special event, Ecos del Torbes will be broadcasting a special program in Spanish at 0200 to 0230 UTC, Saturday, August 10th. That's the evening of Friday, August 9th in the Americas, on the frequency of 780 kilohertz AM. And this special program will be simulcast on shortwave via WRMI in Miami on 9955 kilohertz. It will also be rebroadcast on WRMI at 2230 to 2300 UTC, August 10th, also on 9955 kilohertz. And it can be heard via the live internet simulcast on www.wrmi.net at both of those times. This special transmission is being arranged by Santiago Sanjil and our other friends at the DX Club, Club Diexistas de la Amistad in Venezuela. And they're offering a special electronic QSL for reception reports on this broadcast, whether you're listening on medium wave, shortwave, or internet. Reports can be sent to info@wrmi.net. That's info@wrmi.net. Again, the times are 0200 to 0230 and 2230 to 2300 UTC, August 10th, on 780 kilohertz AM from Venezuela and on 9955 kilohertz shortwave from Miami.
Esta es Ecos del Torbes, su emisora predilecta. Ecos del Torbes, con la hora
7:56.
Ecos del Torbes, dio la hora.
Raíces sonoras por Ecos del Torbes, su emisora predilecta.
Now, let's go to Yukiko Tsuji and her monthly DX report from Japan.
Hello and welcome to the DX Report of the Month from Japan Showtime Club, edited by Toshi Otake, and I'm Yukiko Tsuji. We have a lot of DX reports from our club members this week. ABC Northern Territory service from Alice Springs, Australia, was heard on 4835 kHz on July 6 from 1520 to 1532 UTC in English. SIO rating was 433. Pop music and ABC News were aired. Radio Australia from Shepparton was heard on 19000 kHz on July 5th from 2300 to 2400 UTC in English. SIO rating was 353. The programs heard were Radio Australia News, followed by Asia Review at 2305 and Rural Reporter at 2330. Voice of Indonesia was received on 9525 kHz on July 7th from 1200 to 1215 UTC in Japanese. SIO rating was 333. They broadcast news and song. Radio Thailand was heard on 17770 kHz on July 5th from 0530 to 0600 UTC in English. SIO rating was 353. The programs heard were Business News, followed by Stock Report at 0538, Education in Thailand at 0540, Sports News at 0550, and Upcoming Event at 0555. All India Radio from Mumbai, India was heard on 4810 kHz on July 6 from 1532 to 1545 UTC in English. SIO rating was 333. AIR News was aired. Radio Pakistan was received on 15235 kHz on June 25th from 1415 to 1420 UTC in Urdu. SIO rating was 242. Music program was on the air. Reception condition was better than the one on 17520 kHz. Radio Sultanate of Oman was heard on 15140 kHz on July 4th from 2035 to 2102 UTC in Arabic. SIO rating was 353. Talk and Arabic songs were broadcast. Bell Sound was aired at 2100, then ID and the news started. Radio Kuwait was heard on 21580 kHz on July 4th from 11:30 to the sign-off at 11:58 UTC in Tagalog. SIO rating was 353. Talk and pop music were aired. ID was given at 11:56. The national anthem was played. Deutsche Welle via Kigali, Rwanda was heard on 15275 kHz on July 4th from 2000 to 2100 UTC in English. SIO rating was 353. They broadcast news, followed by Africa Link at 2005, Learning by Ear at 2019, and Living Planet at 2030. Radio Reverde from Cuba was received on 5025 kHz on June 30th from 10:03 to 10:30 UTC in Spanish. SIO rating was 352. Latin pop music and talk programs were on the air. ID was given at 10:03. Finally, Japan Shortwave Club will issue the QSO cards for the correct report on our segment of Wavescan program. We are issuing QSO card by email to the report sent by email. Our address for your email report is jswcqsl@live.jp. I repeat, jswcqsl@live.jp. We continue to issue the printed QSO card by the same system as before. Your report should be addressed to JSWC PO Box 44, Kamakura, which is KAMAKURA, postal code 248-8691, Japan. $1 IRC or $2 for return postage will be appreciated. For this edition of DX Report, we would like to thank Mr. Iwao Nagatani, Mr. Mikoto Kidera, Mr. Takashi Morishita, and Mr. Chiaki Shimada for sharing the information with us. Thank you for listening, and please join us for our next edition of DX Report of Japan Shortwave Club. I'm Yukiko Tsuji in Tokyo.
Thank you, Yukiko. Even though Adventist World Radio is no longer on the air in the Japanese language, yet we do receive a large number of reception reports from listeners in Japan, equal to the large flow of reception reports from listeners in India. However, the Adventist Radio Studio in Japan is still producing programs for broadcast in the Japanese language, some of which are heard on shortwave. Mr. Motokazu Kato of Nakamura in Japan recently sent us a reception report on one of these shortwave broadcasts via the commercial station Radio Nikkei, and we issued him a courtesy QSL card in acknowledgement. The AWR program director, Aniston Matthews, obtained the schedule of these shortwave broadcasts for us, and they can be heard as follows. On Radio Nikkei, JOZ, first program, Monday through Saturday in Japanese at 22:30 UTC, which is 0730 local time in Japan, on 3925 kHz with 50 kilowatts from Nagara or 10 kilowatts from Nemuro. Also on 6055 kHz with 50 kilowatts from Nagara and 9595 kHz with 50 kilowatts also from Nagara. We end today's Wavescan with some music from the Yucatan in Mexico. This is Chucho Martinez Gil and his song Flor. Thanks for listening to Wavescan, the international DX program from Adventist World Radio, researched and written in Indianapolis by Dr. Adrian Peterson. Next week on Wavescan, more from the NASB annual meeting. More than 100 years ago, wireless at war, the story of the world's first wireless reports from a war zone, and our regular DX report from the Philippines. Reminder, if you want a AWR or WRMI QSL card for Wavescan, you can send your reception reports to Wavescan, Box 29235, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46229, USA. That's Wavescan, Box 29235, Indianapolis, Indiana 46229, USA. Or you can contact us by email with comments and suggestions at wavescan@awr.org. That's wavescan@awr.org. I'm Jeff White at WRMI in Miami. Till next week, good listening, everyone.
Mi flor querida, erré el sendero, perdí la calma y para siempre quedó mi vida sin una estrella, sin una palma.